theatre, film, TV and more. Suzy Wrong reviews it all on Joy Drive.
Good afternoon, Suzy Wrong. I'm bracing myself.
Hello, Warren. In relation to today's supernatural, spooky crime drama, I'm asking you if you believe in karma, in cosmic retribution. Do you believe that bad people can do bad things and get away with it?
Do you know what? My view is I do believe in karma. I think bad people do bad things, and we may not necessarily see them get their retribution, but I do believe it does happen, and I'm the sort of person you just wait. And eventually you can't be bad to people and not expect something to happen. That's my view.
Why do you have that view?
I don't know. I don't know if it comes from... It's sort of like a blend of science for me. It's like, you know, every reaction has an equal and opposite reaction, the law of energy, etc. I feel like the same applies to us. You know, we are essentially energy. We send energy out to other people, and if it's bad energy, then it's got to be equated with something else that comes back to get us back to equilibrium. That's how I see it. I don't know if it's spooky or if it's physics, but I genuinely believe that we hum at a certain level, and if we are nasty, then it comes back and gets us, and we shouldn't be nasty.
So now at the moment, there's a lot of talk about billionaires, right?
Mm-hmm.
And almost always we talk about them as being terrible people that do terrible things. Mm-hmm. But obviously we only see them living the high life and just kind of enjoying their wealth and, you know, being fabulous. Do you think that somewhere behind the glossy photos and glossy magazine images that they are paying the price some way?
Oh, I don't know. It's hard to say, Suzy. I don't know what it would like to have that huge amount of wealth. And something that I do notice, though, is those that do something good with it and those that don't do anything good with it, and perhaps use it to influence political outcomes throughout the country to promote their own vested interests. I find that I seem to observe that more often, and I know we're all thinking of different people, than I do of the goodness that they could potentially do with their billions of dollars. I'd like to see more of that, but I don't see much of that at all. I see the shall we say, the negative use of their power and their wealth, and it makes me sad.
Yeah, I think it may be a lot of it may be wishful thinking, but I do enjoy thinking that these people, that even though they seem to have everything, that something terrible is going on to them. that they're not showing us. I hope my belief is true.
Well, maybe, and you could be right. I guess we don't see that side of it. Do you believe in ghosts, Suzy?
I've seen ghosts.
Have you seen it? Can you tell us? What did you see? Was it friendly?
I've seen ghosts twice. Yeah, when I was very, very small, that was the first time. I was maybe 5 or 6, and we were at a hospital. I had a stomach ache in the middle of the night. We had to go to AE, and then when we were leaving the AE, I was at the back of my father's car. He was driving down a very, very dark lane that was only lit by his headlights, and when he turned around, obviously I was still looking at the part that, you know, we turned around from, and it was complete darkness. It was the 70s. There was very few street lamps in Singapore around that area. Mm. And I saw, this kind of classic floating bedsheet figure just emitting light from itself in the middle of a dark, like disused building or something.
Did it look at you?
So that was the first one. There was no face, but I could see a figure there, and then about 5 minutes later, I kind of went, hang on, that's the physics does not physics there. and why am I able to look at something right in the darkness?
And what was the other one?
Well, the second one, many, many, many years later, I was in my early 30s. I had gone, we were living in the Blue Mountains, and I had come to Sydney with my partner, and then we went out drinking for a bit, but I got really tired and went back to the hotel first. I went to sleep, and then he came back soon after, and he sat at the foot of my bed, and I'm like, "What are you doing? Just sitting there? Go wash up and go to bed." And I thought he was probably too drunk, and then he did. And next morning, I said, "That was weird last night," and he denied that anything like that happened. So something was sitting at the foot of my bed in the dark, and I thought that someone was looking at me.
Isn't it weird? I've had sort of feelings like, goosebumps, and I've never seen a physical thing, but I've had feelings in rooms where I just get these chills, and I've often wondered, what's that feeling? What is it that's giving me that feeling? Is it something supernatural? I don't know. I don't know if I believe in supernatural itself, but it's fascinating, and it's interesting to watch on TV. And of course, we watched it in Goddess Bless You from Death, which you can stream on Netflix. I was encouraging everyone to watch it yesterday here on Drive, Suzy, and then I watched it last night, and I looked and I said,
"Are you apologising to everyone today?"
I feel like I am, because I thought, oh my goodness, I hope no one's watching. I hope no one listened to what I said. Let's talk about it, Suzy. What did you think of it? Give us your review.
Police investigator Singha is assigned the responsibility of figuring out 7 gruesome deaths in Bangkok. Assisting him is Toop, a clairvoyant who can see paranormal goings-on and is convinced that the ritualistic murders are linked to something very spooky indeed. Singha is a cop of the uptight, buttoned-up sort, so that dynamic between him and the esoteric Toop is an unexpected one, made more interesting by the undeniable sexual chemistry between these two young men. Playing on Netflix is Goddess Bless You from Death, a 13-episode horror/murder mystery/romance/cop drama in which we are drawn into something that could very well involve a serial murderer, supernatural beings, both good and bad, and a police unit that's somehow full of gays. The story leans heavily on mysticism, superstition, and folklore with a belief system that is distinctly Thai. Connecting those traditional perspectives with modern expressions of queerness makes Goddess Bless You from Death a unique watch. Although set in the modern day, the show's ideas about supernatural forces come from the past. And even though that juxtaposition with an openly gay existence seems new, it all feels natural and congruent. Queer people have always been here. We have always been part of whatever is considered to be nature. So, of course, any metaphysical concepts would apply to us in pretty much the same ways. The romance in the series, too, is given the look and feel of something thoroughly conventional. In fact, it frames the two men as being hard and soft, masculine and feminine, which is a little jarring for me. I think conceiving sexuality in terms of binaries is archaic and unhelpful, but I can also see that opposites do attract in many cases. Goddess Bless You from Death is relatively well made. I enjoy exploring old superstitions from Southeast Asia. It reminds me of the countless scary tales I had heard as a child. And even though I don't identify with any of these characters, I would like to see the reveal of the spooky killer, but I'm not sure if I can make it to the end of all 13 episodes. Warren, you've been to Thailand. Mm-hmm. Did you notice much evidence of these hocus-pocus elements around you?
No, I didn't, but I did notice a lot of those failed projects where it's set, with the car park and the tree sitting there, and I reckon I knew where it was set. So I did notice that. Suzy, I want to ask you about this. For those who've travelled in Victoria, to regional Victoria, there's a town called Walhalla, and it's an old gold mining town in Gippsland. Suzy, I don't know if you've ever been there or not, but there was a miner there in 1880. And on the 24th of July, his name was James Mitchell, and he was working on the Long Tunnel mine in Walhalla. And a rock came crashing down, and it pinned his head and chest against a mine wall. And it took about 15 minutes to remove the boulder from his body, and he died in just over an hour. And he was only 34 years old. And he's got a tombstone that is at the Walhalla cemetery. And it's sort of an abandoned mining town, Suzy, if you can imagine that. And this cemetery is built on a hill. And if anyone's been there, you'll notice that a lot of the graves are buried vertically because of the hillside. I went there as a kid, not only with my parents, but also in high school as well on an excursion. And he's got a famous tombstone, and anyone who's been to this will know It's The Curse of James Mitchell. And on his tombstone it says, "O let my sudden doom a warning be to all, ere whilst thou bendest over my tomb, thou may as quickly fall." And it's considered an eerie warning from beyond. And there's been some strange occurrences that have been reported by tourists at the time who've been visiting that gravestone. Hence, it's known as the cursed grave. In fact, one person had a heart attack there back in 2003, apparently, whilst visiting the grave. So this is an eerie grave, Suzy, that is apparently cursed. That's the closest I've come to seeing something of this nature.
You know, one of the first things I noticed when I moved countries from Asia to Australia all 30 years ago was how rare these stories are. You know, like you're relaying the story like it's the only one that you've heard. But when you live in Asia, especially Southeast Asia, I think, like, these stories are everywhere, and it was so much a part of life. Obviously, you know, that not that you would completely believe in all these stories, but it was very foundational to how you understand the world. There's always suspicion that it is all superstition, that it's all just stories that people would tell to scare kids to get them to behave, you know, of that nature. But I did grow up with all these beliefs, and I think ultimately I do believe that we are not the only kind of beings that exist on this plane. But I also believe that while they are everywhere, that's the way I see it, I don't think they have the ability to affect very much of what happens to us. So in that way, even though I think that they exist, I'm not scared of them.
Suzy, you also starred in the show Hungry Ghosts, didn't you?
Yeah.
What's the Hungry Ghost Festival about?
Well, the Hungry Ghost Festival is so much about ancestry. It's about basically honoring those who have gone before. And it links, therefore, it's a way to connect your current circumstances with those who have come before. There are many different manifestations. I think it's quite a widespread practice. I think different cultures have different ways of doing Hungry Ghosts. But in Singapore, it was a case of telling kids to be careful where they go during. It's an entire month. It's an entire month where the ghosts are meant to allow to kind of roam around. You're supposed to be quite careful. Oh, actually, this is a really good story. I just remembered. Not too long ago, I would say 4 years ago, I was in Singapore. And it was Hungry Ghost Month. I had completely forgotten, right? And then one of the things that people would do is to set up, like some food on a table and have some like a ritualistic decoration around it. And I thought it was fascinating. And I had completely forgotten that it was Hungry Ghost Month. So I took my phone out and snapped a camera of it. And literally half a second later, I tripped myself with like, there's no rock or anything. I tripped. And right away, I knew what I had done, and I deleted the photo. That was what happened to me as a grown person.
So you knew straight away. You thought, what, you weren't meant to take the photo?
Yeah. You like, if I had remembered what I was taught as a child, you know, like when you're careful, you have to be careful during Hungry Ghost Month. You have to be extra sensitive to supernatural things that could be happening, and you know, part of it is that you have to respect these ritualistic offerings that's happening around you. And I had completely forgotten. I had looked at it as a tourist, right? I was looking at it like an Australian tourist and thinking, oh, these colorful things that are happening, and you know, this kind of lavish meal that's being set up for nobody. And I took a photo, and immediately I tripped. And I'm not a person who trips very much.
Did you panic and delete the photo straight away? Is that why?
I panicked because right away I knew exactly why it had happened. I didn't question like you know, my shoes were slippery or anything. Right away I knew what had happened.
Did you say sorry to the ghost?
I did. I just deleted the photo and I said, oh, I understand. I'm not supposed to do that. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Suzy Wrong, love chatting with you. What are we watching next week?
We are not on Tuesday Chan. We're going to be away for a week, but we'll be back the week after.
Fantastic. What are you doing?
I'm heading to Perth.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and I'll come back and see if I find any ghost stories for you.
Okay. When we come back, what are we watching?
Let's not say yet. I like to leave it a little bit longer in case something more exciting comes up.
We'll keep everyone posted. Suzy Wrong, catch you in a couple of weeks. Have a great break.
Thank you. Bye.